Howdy folks, I'm Keith Stewart and welcome to the Key Ranch. Shelby and Hoodie just showed up here on a cold February day. It's about minus 21 out here right now, and we're starting to think that that's pretty good because it has been minus 30 for the last week or so. So getting indoor chores to do is a good deal. So I've got some questions here that folks have sent me they'd like me to ask about different horse related stuff. So first one I'll get to is Randy. Randy asks, how long has your family been ranching in Canada? Well, I was born and raised in Canada, and other than the time that we lived in Outpost in the National Park, we had our own horses and cattle and other livestock to look at. So in a small degree, I guess, ever since I was a little kid. There had been times, like I said, when we were back in the outback part of Banff and everything, that would, I guess you could call that ranching too, because we had horses with us all the time. We had our saddle horses and our pack horses. So rather than maybe getting into it a whole bunch, we've been ranching all our life. We've always had horses and cattle and livestock to look after. Felicia asks, can you run through what you would do getting a horse ready to ride, a strange horse ready to ride? That's where the groundwork, I think, really pays off well, because if you've got it down to where you know how to work your groundwork, to where you can get control of your horse's hindquarters and get them handling good on the end of the halter shank, or it might be your McCarty lead that you're using, you can check a horse out pretty good, and he'll tell you, if you know what you're looking for, whether he's ready to ride or not. A relaxed horse will get round. He'll allow you to disengage his hindquarters. He'll do a lot of relaxed things that a horse that's bothered, maybe not ready to ride yet, won't let you do. So the better you get at your groundwork, the easier it will be for you to tell whether a strange horse is ready to ride or not. If you check out on my videos there, I go all through that groundwork and what to look for in checking out whether a horse is relaxed or not and ready to get on. James says, I'm trying to get my horse good to rope off. What should I do to start with? Well, James, what I like to do when I'm getting my horse good to rope off is I go back to my groundwork right there. Once I can get him handling good on the end of a lead rope or maybe my McCarty rope, and I can get them where I can move them around, I'll have them where they'll come pick me up off the fence. And then when I have them in that position where they're right next to me on the fence, well, I can take down my flag, or I can take my lariat, my slicker, or whatever else, and I can get my horse used to seeing things moving above him and around him. I might take down my lariat and I might throw some shots over top of his, maybe I'll have to start with from the side, and then I might throw some shots to where it would go off maybe his hindquarters. I'd want him to be able to be very comfortable with that rope going anywhere on his body, plus me coiling it up and dragging it up to him. Now if he was getting bothered by anything that I was doing there, all he would do was leave the spot right next to me on the fence, and I would put my rope down and get him organized and get him to come back up again, and I'd start over again. And what's really handy in this little exercise is when you're getting one that might be like a real feely horse, might be pretty nervous about having that rope around. So I definitely start working on that on the ground before I maybe think about doing it up above him. But I've gotten good about it on the ground. My next step would get to be where I could do it above him, and that's where the fence comes in. So if my horse got bothered, I could get him good to where I would just start over again, and he would get to where it would be no big deal, because from his viewpoint, his vantage point, there isn't a lot different him seeing me throw that rope when I'm sitting next to him on the fence than it would be if I was sitting on his back. So I'd get him real comfortable about it from up there, and then I would just build. So when I would be sitting in the saddle and shake that loop down for the first time, it wouldn't be like he'd never seen it up there before. And he'd give me a pretty good indication whether he was ready or not. We, in our videos on Cowboy Campus, we go into how to get one prepared, and we're going to do some more videos when the weather gets better too on getting our horses ready to rope off of. So if you got any more questions on that, Randy, just stay tuned to Cowboy Campus, and or just get back to me and I'll give you some more information. Marissa asks, when should I transition my horse into a shank bit? Well, what I like to do, I'll start them all and I'll be riding them in a snaffle quite a bit. But even though they be in a snaffle, which is a two-handed rig, I'd start riding them one-handed. In saying that, I'd get them to where they'd be neck reining, getting real light, because I might want to rope off them and do a lot of other things, and they'd still be in the snaffle. So I'd get my horse handling really good in the snaffle, one-handed, like he would I expect him to be in a shank bit. Once he is doing everything that I would ask him to do in that shank or in that snaffle bit, to where he's understanding of his indirect and his direct rein, so he's neck reining, and he's really soft in it where I can pick up a soft feel without any fuss, then I transition them up to a shank bit. Now, quite often what we'll do on our cutting horse trainees, so early in their 3-year-old year, is I might work them in a snaffle, and then when I go to cool one out, I would hang, say, a correction bit in them, which is a jointed shank bit, and I would cool them out in that, to where I'd move them around. Things would be kind of slow, and I'd get him comfortable with it to where he's understanding how it works. So when I did go to using that shank bit when things were a little faster, he'd understand how it would work. But the main thing I would be looking for before I'd be putting a shank bit in my horse's mouth is he was operating real well in the snaffle bit, a good soft feel, and getting off the indirect rein. When did I start riding, Hannah asks. You know, there's pictures, and I can remember it somewhat, but we have pictures of my brothers and I going back into Banff National Park to where we'd be sitting on a saddle and a pack string. So we'd have, I had a horse called Bubbles, my other brother Brett had a horse called Joy, and they'd be tied head to tail in with the pack string, and we'd be sitting on our horses and riding out to the summer camp. So I'm thinking I was probably 2 or 3. I looked pretty small back then, so it would probably be at about that time period. I know I would have rode with my mom and dad before that, but I was riding by myself, sitting up in the saddle looking proud, probably when I was about 2 or 3 years old. I got some ponies after that and started riding where I was more hands-on, but that would been when I started riding. How do I get a horse to pick his feet up? Well, what I'd want to do is I'd want to get them real good about where I could put my hands down their legs, so I might do my groundwork on them and use my flag so I could put my hand anywhere I wanted to, so run my hand down his leg. So my groundwork pays off in there again too. So first of all, I check them out. If they're a little flighty, maybe I'd take my flag and I'd rub it down their legs. Then I'd get them to where I could take my hand and I could rub it down in there and I'd lift them up. Now, in order for them to allow me to pick up that foot, they need to shift their weight to the opposing foot, to the opposite foot. So what I want to do is, when I run my hand down there, I might lean on them a little bit so they unweight that leg. Say I'm looking to pick up the front left foot, and I'm standing there. As I run my hand down, I'm going to push a little over to where he'd shift his weight to his front right foot. When he unweights his front left foot, what I want to pick up, I would pick it up, and I would give it back to him before he has to take it back. I'm not going to get in a contest with him whether I can hold his foot up or not. So when he gives to me, I give to him. I'd ask him to pick it up. When he gives it to me, I would release before he would ask for it back. It doesn't take very long as a rule to get him pretty good about it. And it would be the same thing when I shifted the hindquarters too. I'd ask them to shift their weight to the opposite hind leg. When they do, I'd ask them to pick that leg up and I would give it back to them before they asked for it. Favorite groundwork exercise? Well, I don't know if I would have a favorite groundwork exercise because my groundwork sort of all flows to where it would get to be where I want them to be able to lead by me. When I'm going to change directions, I make sure they disengage their hindquarters, which is forward and through. And then when I break them across and ask them to go back in the other direction, it would be a backwards motion to where they'd rock back and step across me without stepping into my circle. So that's sort of the basics that I'd have on them, to where I would direct and drive them. I'd send them forward. I'd want them to yield their hindquarters when I'm turning them, hindquarters forward and through, and bring their front end through without stepping in towards me. So that's probably my favorite or the foundation of my groundwork. Once you have that working for you, you can build on it. How would I introduce hobbles? Well, introducing hobbles is very similar to getting your horse to where he pick his feet up. So I'd go through that same preparation to where he's good about me handling his feet. And then what I might do is I might take my lariat rope and put it around, or a soft cotton rope, and put it around, say, his front, maybe we're talking about his front left foot right there, to where what I would like to be able to do is that when I draw on that rope, when I'm asking him to give me his leg, he gives to me. So as soon as he gives to me, I release. So that rope is on, say, his front left foot. When I draw on it, when he yields to me, I release. Once I get them understanding about yielding to pressure, then I can think about hobbling them. Once I do that, they're yielding good to pressure on both front feet. what I might do is I'll take a soft cotton rope and I'd wrap it around. Now the soft cotton rope is no different than the leather hobbles you're going to use later, but it's softer and maybe a little easier to put on than running your buckle to start with. So I do a wrap, say a double wrap on the off leg, bring it back between the legs, twist it over itself enough times, and then wrap it once and put a square knot on it. That's also on my videos. I show you how to hobble a horse, and we're going to do more on that too down the road. Well, that looks like the end of these questions we have. If you folks have any more, feel free to just shoot out there a text or whatever, and I'd be happy to answer any more questions that you have. I hope this has been helpful.